Hello everybody, welcome to our almost last poetry lesson. So today we are going to learn about imagery in poems, which means that the poem is really good at creating an image in the reader's mind. So I'm going to read you a book that is pretty much just a really long poem. It's called Owl Moon. It is one of my favorite books. And I want you to, as I'm reading it, I'm not going to show you any pictures. The pictures in this book aren't that exciting because I want you to imagine the story based off of the words used in the poem. So how is it described? Okay, so imagine what's happening and see how the author used words to create this image in your head, okay? All right, here we go. Owl Moon. Let's go. It was late one winter night, long past my bedtime, when Pa and I went owling. There was no wind. The trees stood still as giant statues. The moon was so bright, the sky seemed to shine. Somewhere behind us, a train whistle blew, long and low, like a sad, sad song. I am going to show you quickly how this isn't written like a normal book. See how it's written with the line breaks like we learned about? Nice short sentences, moving on to the next one in a new entire line. So it's definitely a poem. I could hear it through the woolen cap Pa had pulled down over my ears. A farm dog answered the train, and then a second dog joined in. They sang out, "Train and dogs," for a real long time. And when their voices faded away, it was as quiet as a dream. We walked on towards the woods, Pa and I. Our feet crunched over the crisp snow, and little gray footprints followed us. Pa made a long shadow, but mine was short and round. I had to run after him every now and then to keep up. My short and round shadow bumped after me. Did that create a really cool image in your mind with them walking over the crisp, crunchy snow? They have a shadow behind them and footprints behind them. Created a really nice picture in my mind. But I never called out. If you go owling, you have to be quiet. That's what Pa always told me. I had been waiting to go owling with Pa for a long, long time. We reached the line of pine trees, back and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hand. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up, as if searching for the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called, "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo," the sound of a great horned owl. Hoo, 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 hoo. Again he called out, and then again. After each call, he was silent, and for a moment we both listened. But there was no answer. Pa shrugged, and I shrugged. I was not disappointed. My brothers all said, sometimes there's an owl, and sometimes there isn't. We walked on. I could feel the cold. It was palms down on my back, my nose, and the tips of my cheek. I felt cold and hot all at the same time. But I never said a word. If you go owling, you have to be quiet and make your own heat. We went into the woods. The shadows were the blackest things I had ever seen. Look at that imagery, the blackest things you've ever seen. I just imagine like a big black dark wall. They stained the white snow. My mouth felt furry. for the scarf over it was wet, warm. I didn't ask what kinds of things hid behind those black trees in the middle of the night. When you go owling, you have to be brave. Then he came to the clearing in the dark woods. The moon was high above us. It seemed to fit exactly over the center of the clearing. The snow below it was whiter than the milk in a cereal bowl. Does that make you think of a big bowl of cereal with really nice white milk? Yeah, and what good imagery that was. I sighed, and Pa held up his hands, and the sound, I put my mittens over my scarf, over my mouth, and listened hard. Then Pa called, "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh." I listened and looked so hard my ears hurt. Ooh, I can just imagine. My eyes got cloudy with cold. Pa raised his face to call out again, but before he could open his mouth, an echo came, threading its way through the trees. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right, that is our story for today. So as you can see, there was lots and lots of spots in there where the author created really wonderful imagery of what was happening in the poem. So your job today is to write me a poem, making sure to use those line breaks. So let me just grab a journal to show you. In your journals, making sure that every time we write, it goes on a new line. All right, so if I'm going to write a poem that has lots of imagery, I might write, what am I going to write about? I'm going to write about my dog, all right, and her playing. The dog. So just on the first line, it's just going to be the dog. I'm going to move to the next line. The dog. She was fluffy. That's another line. Moving down to the next one. She was fluffy. Her hair blew in the wind. That's the next line. So I know this is backwards for you, so I'm sorry that that's a bit confusing, but the whole point, I'm just showing you that it's the dog. She was fluffy. Her hair blew in the wind. See how each one's on a new line? And I'm using those imagery words so we can imagine that her fluffy hair is now blowing in the wind. Let's go. She ran like a cheetah. She ran like a cheetah. That's a simile because I use the word like to compare her running to a cheetah. And then the next line, she ran like a cheetah. Fast, fast, fast. That's the next line. She ran like a cheetah. New line. Fast, fast, fast. She grabbed her little toy. It was almost as fluffy as her. She grabbed her little toy on one line. It was almost as fluffy as her. So you come up with a poem on your own of, it could be about anything. It could be about your pet. It could be about you. It could be about the weather outside. That's a really good one to do imagery for. Making sure you have those line breaks. I'm going to be looking for that. Hope that you enjoy this, and I'll see you in the next poetry lesson. Bye-bye.